I have been in a relationship with my girlfriend for 4 years. Let's call her Vanessa. The last year and a half has been a long-distance relationship. We were going pretty seriously with hopes and talks of getting married eventually. This past year, we have been fighting a lot, and the fights have started to get really ugly. Vanessa has always been an anxious person, but lately her anxiety has been skyrocketing. This comes out as her bombarding me with calls and messages whenever I go out with friends. I am in a highly stressful work environment with an examination for a promotion coming up in a few months. So the times I do go out with my friends are very rare, about once every 2 to 3 months. Every time I'm out with them, she starts calling me and expects me to be on the phone with her for at least half an hour every time she calls, which I find hard to do. If I don't pick up her call or reply to her texts late, she gets very agitated, and that ends in her getting extremely aggressive, verbally harassing me, or accusing me of cheating on her, or that I keep getting influenced by my friends to disrespect her. This past month I had finally had enough because it felt like she was genuinely harming my mental health and my career. So I put my foot down and told her to stop this behavior because it was getting too much for me to handle. After this, a very ugly fight started, at the end of which we went no contact for 3 days when she blocked me. After 3 days, she called me, crying and weeping and blaming me for hurting her, breaking her, and destroying her self-esteem. She kept saying how she devoted herself to me completely, and how I betrayed her trust, and how she can do better, and how I've been holding her back. Hearing all this, I told her I was done and that we were over. After I said this, she absolutely lost it, crying and wailing at the top of her lungs. She started begging me between sobs to not leave her and be with her. Eventually, her roommate heard the commotion and came to check, and even she started asking me to reconsider and stay with her. And I ended up giving in, but on the condition that she changes her behavior and does not act this way. The morning I was at the library studying for my upcoming examination, Vanessa called me and proposed that I sign a legal bond saying that I would marry her in the next 5 years. I told her that I wouldn't because I'm really not sure about the way this relationship is headed and who she is anymore. This was followed by an hour of her trying to emotionally appeal to me, talking about how she's willing to sign the bond, how she's sure about this relationship, and she's willing to have faith in me and this relationship. She kept telling me how much she loves and cares about me and how she'd change. Then she started saying how the bond doesn't even matter and how it would mean so much to her and that it's just a piece of paper and it would mean a lot to her. She kept at what felt like emotional blackmail for an hour, going on about how all relationships have ups and downs and how she'd change and all she needs from me is to sign this legal bond. She also kept bringing up how we were so sure of marriage at one point and how I can't just break things off like this. In the end, when I finally kept refusing this idea of a legal bond for marriage, Vanessa got offended and angry at me. She told me that we were broken up until I signed that bond and apologized to her in person and in front of her friends. I agreed with her and told her I'd keep this in mind. After I said this, she still kept on talking about how I'd regret my words and actions, and how she was giving me 10 days to apologize and make it up to her, and still kept going on and on, repeating these same things for half an hour. After I refused to budge, she started bringing up gifts she's bought me and things she did for me, and told me to make an account for the money she spent on me and return it to her in 10 days as we were now broken up. I agreed to this as well, and that made her even angrier, and she started crying about how little I cared about her and this relationship. After this, she again says she's giving me until 6 this evening to contact her and apologize and beg her for her forgiveness, and hopes that I'm mature enough to get over my ego and behavior and to act my age. By this point, it had been an hour and a half that I'd been standing outside the library and speaking to her, and I admit I was upset and snapped at her and hung up. Even after this, she's been bombarding my phone with texts repeating the same things she mentioned during our talk. Even her friends have been contacting me and trying to talk to me, telling me to apologize and talk to her. I really don't know what to do in this situation. Any advice would be appreciated. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I couldn't think of more different ways to manipulate than this girl if my life depended on it. Every single paragraph was a ploy from her to manipulate you. She has issues and you deserve better. You won't even realize how insane this is until you're thinking back on this from another relationship. Comment 2. She needs to see a therapist. I would use the term crazy, but that word is banned here. She has an anxiety issue that she needs to address. It's a mental issue. Now for the update. I'm back with another update on the mess that is my life with Vanessa. A few months have passed since the last fight, and honestly, things have been pretty quiet on my end. I thought maybe Vanessa would get the hint and just leave me the heck alone, but of course, that didn't happen. She's been reaching out all the time, insisting that we discuss our relationship. Seriously, how many times can you talk about a relationship that's going nowhere before you just let it go? Anyway, I mostly ignored her messages. They went from annoying to borderline harassment. I even got a call from her best friend who tried to convince me to reconsider. Like, what exactly am I reconsidering? A lifetime of drama? No thanks. So I decided to go to my best friend's birthday party to get away from this nonsense. I needed a break, you know? But of course, nothing can be simple. Guess who showed up at the party? Yep, Vanessa, with a whole entourage of her friends. When she walked in, you could feel the atmosphere change. It was like someone turned on an air conditioner in July. Everyone noticed the tension, and I just wanted to crawl under a rock and hide. Vanessa spotted me and immediately demanded we talk privately. It felt like she was ordering me around. We stepped outside into the backyard, away from the party noise, but the noise was still there in my head. I couldn't escape it. Vanessa started talking about our previous argument, insisting that I was overreacting. Overreacting? She was the one throwing a tantrum. She then accused me of not caring about her needs and started raising her voice. At this point, a few guests from the party overheard what was going on and turned their attention toward us. I could feel their eyes boring into me, and I just wanted the ground to swallow me whole. I started to walk away, but Vanessa followed me, still visibly upset and yelling about how I was this and that. My friends tried to defuse the situation, but it was like talking to a brick wall. Then out of nowhere, Vanessa threw a drink on me. Everyone around us went quiet, and I just stood there, shocked. I realized I had to leave the party to avoid any more drama. I could hear the whispers and see the concerned looks from my friends. Instead of dealing with Vanessa's nonsense, I headed to my family's Thanksgiving dinner. At dinner, my parents asked about Vanessa, clearly concerned. They had seen the chaos that had unfolded on social media and were worried about me. I mentioned the recent fight and how Vanessa had shown up at my friend's party, causing a scene. My mom, being the voice of reason as always, advised me to stand firm and not let Vanessa dictate my feelings. After dinner, I got a call from Vanessa demanding that I meet her the next day. I agreed because I felt it was necessary to settle things once and for all. We met at a local diner, and let me tell you, she looked like she had been through a lot. Her hair was all over the place, and she seemed agitated. Vanessa then presented me with a list of demands for our relationship. I couldn't believe it. A list? Really? She started crying, claiming that I was the cause of all our problems. It's like she forgot that we didn't even have a real relationship to begin with. Then her tone shifted and she threatened to move on if I couldn't commit. I called her bluff, telling her that I wouldn't be pressured anymore. We ended the meeting without resolving anything. A few days later, my family had a gathering for Christmas. Guess who showed up uninvited? Vanessa. My family was not having it. My dad confronted her and asked her to leave the house. She left in tears, claiming she was being mistreated. Later, I sent her a text saying I needed a break from our relationship. To my surprise, she sent a message saying she was moving on. Honestly, at this point, I welcomed it. I'm done with this chaotic mess. Again, thank you to everyone who gave helpful advice. I'm not sure if I will be updating further, however. I'm kinda done with all of Vanessa's drama and just want her to move on for real this time. Hopefully this is the end of the road for us, because I can't deal with any more of her antics. I'm just trying to live my life and enjoy some peace and quiet. You feel me? Edit: I appreciate everyone who shared their thoughts and advice. Some of you have pointed out that I might be a bit harsh on Vanessa, and I get it. The whole situation has just been so overwhelming, and I've lost my patience with it all. In terms of my life now, things are going well. I'm focusing on myself and spending quality time with my family and friends. I've even taken a break from dating because I just want some peace for a while. Some of my friends have tried to set me up with new people, but I'm not ready for that yet. I just want to enjoy being single and not have to deal with any drama. Am I the idiot for catching my husband in lies and exposing his double life to my family? My partner and I have been together for more than 5 years. The relationship was never smooth and always went through rough patches, and I would often feel very anxious about doing the wrong things, being in the way, or not giving him his space. He always requested space, which I understood because we all heal in different ways. We ended up moving abroad after 4 years. When we moved abroad, things got worse between us. He would leave to go live in a hotel to think about whether he wanted to be in the relationship, and then come back saying that he missed me. This happened a few times. Recently, I went on a trip with a friend. When I came back, things, mostly mine, in our house had been moved. Our packet of condoms, which was in the bedside drawer, wasn't there. I noticed my things in my wardrobe had been moved and were not where I had left them. He moved my items in the bathroom as well and forgot to put back my sanitary products in the bathroom cabinet. I found my earrings, which were on my bedside table, tossed into his wardrobe between his socks. He also washed the towels, but not my towels, which I had left from the morning, 3 other towels. I immediately asked him about the condoms, but he said that he must have thrown them away because he was cleaning. Then I heard him pick up his bag and come forth with the packet, saying that it was on the couch in the other room. Later in his backpack, I found his cologne, a shirt, and his passport, which is needed to check into a hotel. His response was that he was cleaning the apartment and threw stuff away and that he needed to take his passport to work. But I promise you nothing was cleaned. It was still dusty. He said he repacked the shelves, but nothing except my things had been moved. He denied cheating on me and made me feel bad for even asking him about it. He also said that he doesn't know if he wants to be with me after I confronted him. Now for an update. I found a train ticket booking to a different city while I was on my vacation. I asked him if he was in this city, and he denied it and made me feel crazy for even asking. I asked him again, and he denied it again. Then I pulled out the screenshot on my phone that I found in his emails. I snooped. I know, terrible. Then he said yes, he went to the city with friends from work. When I asked for pictures, he said he did not take any. He said he didn't tell me because he thought I would get jealous and give him an attitude. Then he said he's been lying to me to protect me. He is still good friends with his ex, and he told me that on her birthday, he blocks me from his social media so he can post about her. He still denies cheating on me and insists that he cleaned the house. I'm questioning my sanity. I even found hair that is longer than mine and a different color. He looked so sad last night when I wanted to break up. I don't know what to do. I love this man, but I think I deserve better. Even if he didn't cheat, why did he lie? Online friends, thoughts? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm pretty sure it's written somewhere in the first few pages of the Cheater's Handbook that when you get questioned for cheating, you always gaslight, deflect, spin it on the other person, and then accuse them of doing it as well. I could be wrong, but it sounds to me like this guy has done 3 out of 4. Comment 2. He cheated on you. To answer your question, it's time to end the relationship. He's had you questioning yourself way too long. Please, from one woman to another, leave. Go live the life you actually deserve, because this is not it. Now for the update, I'm back with more updates. It's been 2 days since the last fight with my partner about the missing stuff. Honestly, I just needed a break from everything at home, so I decided to spend some time away to clear my head. I went to this local market to grab some groceries, and guess who I ran into? A mutual friend of ours. So we're chatting and catching up, and out of nowhere, she mentioned seeing my partner out at a bar with a group of friends. Just my luck. I come home, and his car is parked outside. Great. so he claims he was just playing video games at home with friends. Yeah, okay, I love how everyone seems to know where he is except for me. My gut's telling me to check his social media for any updates. He had posted a story from the bar with friends, showing everyone laughing and drinking. So typical. A few days later, I went to a family dinner at my sister's. My partner was also invited, which was awkward, but whatever. During dinner, my mom innocently asked when we would settle down. You could hear a pin drop. My partner just laughed it off, making a comment about enjoying his freedom. Great, just what I wanted to talk about. After dinner, he stepped outside to take a call, leaving me alone with my family. I overheard snippets of the call, and my mind started racing. He was talking about a surprise for someone. The partner came back in, acting completely normal, while I was losing it inside. So I decided to keep a closer eye on his activities. One evening, he left his laptop open, and I checked his email. I found a series of emails with a travel agency booking tickets to a city. The tickets were for 2 people, scheduled for the following weekend. I confronted him about it, and he just dismissed it as paranoia, claiming it was a work trip. Right. I needed to dig deeper, so I discreetly asked around about his activities. I discovered he had been seen in the city mentioned in the emails. My sister casually mentioned a party happening there next weekend. That's when I came up with a plan to attend the party under the guise of visiting friends. I reached out to my sister to secure a place to stay during the trip. Upon arrival in the city, I quickly gathered info on the party. At the party, I spotted my partner with a woman I didn't recognize. I approached cautiously, overhearing snippets of their conversation. He was laughing and seemed very comfortable with her. I snapped a few pictures for proof before confronting them directly. When I approached, his face turned white, and the woman looked confused as I revealed the truth about our relationship. A tense confrontation happened, and he denied everything. I decided to leave, sending the pictures to my family group chat. The family group chat lit up with messages about his betrayal. Later, he came home to an empty apartment and a bunch of messages from my family. Well, it's been a few days since the family group chat went off like a bomb, and honestly, things have been a whirlwind. My sister's been helping me out a lot, like getting me back on my feet and just being there to listen, you know? I had to block my ex on everything because the dude just won't stop trying to weasel his way back in. He sent me paragraphs about how it was all a misunderstanding and he just didn't know how to tell me he was going to a party for work. Like, seriously? You're gonna try that lame excuse? I can't even with this guy. Anyway, I'm back home now. And it's a bit eerie without him here, but I'm getting used to it. I gotta figure out what to do with the place, though. My family's been super supportive, offering to help me move back in with them, but I think I need my space for now. Just gotta figure out my next steps, I guess. Edit. After sending the pictures to the family group chat, my family confronted him, leading to a lot of anger and disappointment. They didn't know about all the issues in our relationship. My sister's been my rock through this, and my family's support has been overwhelming. I'm still deciding on the living situation. Am I the idiot for telling my boyfriend to get his act together? Or I'm out. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years, lived together for 1, and I'm due with our first child in a few weeks. My boyfriend is a manager at an office who makes $50,000 a year. He had a credit card for most of our relationship, which he used regularly. During our relationship, he often took us on expensive dates. He shopped a lot. We went out to bars, and he paid half the bills and living expenses. A few months ago, that all stopped. He could barely afford anything, including rent. Everything has always been even between us. I work and make the same money he does. The only difference was I didn't always pay for big dinners, considering he would want to splurge way more often. For the last 4 months, I've had to pay for everything, excluding his half of the rent. When I asked him where his money was going, he told me he got rid of his credit card. After some investigating, here's what I found. The credit card belonged to his mom. He was maxing out her card at $3,000 a month without ever paying her back. She turned the card off after multiple warnings. He's since asked her multiple times for loans because he spent all his money on vapes, alcohol, and expensive DoorDash orders. She told me he's always been terrible with money and very impulsive. She also informed me that his credit score is awful and that he owes quite a bit to several collectors. One day he asked me for gas money, which I gave him, and he came home with alcohol. The next day he woke up with an eye infection and needed to get antibiotics, so I had to pay the $120 for the visit and medicine. 2 days later he asked me for more gas money. He's completely drained my maternity leave savings because I've had to support our whole household for the last few months. I have exactly enough money left to pay for rent, my phone, and our electricity while I'm on leave. For weeks, I've been stressing to him the importance of budgeting and saving, and he just kept saying, everything will be okay. And the truth is, I know we won't go hungry. Our family is really supportive and helpful, but we shouldn't have to ask them for help because he can't handle his money. To me, I'd rather pick up DoorDashing or go back to work early before having to ask our parents, who have already done so much. But I find that really unfair to me considering I worked all 9 months of my pregnancy. I feel panicked that the person I love, but most importantly, the person I'm having a child with, is completely irresponsible and possibly struggling with addiction. I hate thinking that if he were to propose with a ring he couldn't even buy if he wanted to, I'd have to say no because of this. I hate that the person I'm having a child with can't provide anything more than what a roommate could. I feel so much resentment towards him, and I don't know how to move forward. I feel stupid and naive, and mostly sad that I can't just be excited about my child. What can I do now? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Dump him as quickly as possible. It will ease your financial distress. The longer you stay with him, the deeper the debt hole he will dig for you. If he lives with you, put him out. He was already going to be a deadbeat dad. Staying with him wouldn't change that. Imagine if he had run away right after you got pregnant. You would still have your maternity leave savings. You wouldn't be worried about managing your bills long term. You wouldn't have another adult doing things that destabilize your finances behind your back. You might also want to check your credit to make sure he hasn't taken out any cards or loans in your name. Save yourself years of debt and stress and get him out of your life now. You may or may not have to co-parent with him, but he doesn't have to be part of your financial life. Comment 2. You need to dump the boyfriend. Yes, I know you are having a baby, but you are with a 35-year-old man-child. Trust me when I tell you, this man will be like an anchor around your neck while you are trying to raise a baby. Let him have visitation, be amicable, but don't be romantically involved with him, and don't live with him. Now for the update. 2 days after I posted, I woke up feeling more stressed about money than ever. I felt sick and had a headache. I knew I had to go to work, but I just wanted to curl up and sleep for a week. My boyfriend, who I've been with for 2 years and just found out is probably an addict, hasn't helped with the bills this month. Nothing. I'm still trying to figure out how to pay my half of the rent, let alone all the other bills that are due. And to add to my stress, he casually mentioned that he has a surprise planned for the weekend, but won't tell me what it is. Surprise? It's gonna be a surprise when I tell you to get out of my apartment. He says it's a good one and that I'm gonna love it. I said I hope it's something that won't make us go broke. He rolled his eyes and said, "Trust me, babe. I don't know how we're gonna afford groceries with the rent due soon, but okay." On Friday, he insisted that we go to a bar for a celebration of his promotion. A promotion I know nothing about. He says it's on him, but I don't believe it for a second. He orders multiple rounds of drinks and shots, and I just sit there sipping my water. His carefree and reckless attitude is honestly freaking me out. I told him about how bad our finances are, and he just brushes it off. He told me everything will be fine, I just need to trust him. After a few hours of drinking and talking, he disappears to the restroom, leaving me alone at the table. I'm sitting there just trying to figure everything out when an old friend of his approached me. She said hi and asked if I was still with him. She mentioned seeing him the previous week at a different bar. She casually mentioned that he had been spending a lot of time out and seemed to be drinking heavily. I told her I knew. She introduced herself and said I should reach out to her if I ever needed anyone. She said she didn't want to pry, but I could tell she was worried about him. She seemed really nice. Anyway, he returned and acted like nothing happened and brushed off her comments. The next day, I got a text from my mom inviting us to a family dinner for my dad's birthday. I asked my boyfriend if he wanted to go, and he agreed, but he seemed distracted by his phone throughout the dinner. My brother was discussing a recent job promotion, and everyone congratulated him. My boyfriend suddenly interrupted and claimed he deserved a celebration too. He drew attention to himself and made it awkward. My sister asked him about his job, and he avoided the question and changed the subject. After dinner, we gathered for cake, and he took a long time to get his piece. I checked my phone and saw that I needed to pay a bill due tomorrow. I mentioned it to him, and he brushed me off, saying we can manage it later. Back at home, he got a phone call and stepped outside. When he returned, he seemed anxious and kept checking his phone. A few days later, I tried to talk about budgeting again, and he dismissed my concerns. I found an unopened credit card bill on the counter from a store I never shop at. He admitted it was his and that he had maxed out another card, adding to our financial strain. I went through our finances and realized we're only 1 month away from being unable to pay rent. We are 1 month away from being homeless. On the weekend, he went out with friends again, promising to be back early. Hours passed and he didn't return, which worried me. I received a call from one of his friends asking if I knew where he was as they hadn't seen him. I found his car parked outside a bar and he was inside with friends, clearly drunk. I confronted him at the bar and he got defensive, accusing me of overreacting. The argument escalated and people began to stare, making the situation more uncomfortable. As we left, he shouted that he can do what he wants and that he doesn't need my nagging. A few days later, I found out he's been borrowing money from mutual friends without telling me. In our final confrontation, he said it's no big deal, but I know we need to get serious about our finances. He stormed off, saying I don't understand him. I feel so lost and overwhelmed right now. I just want this to be over. Edit. I realized I needed to make some changes. We talked, and I gave him an ultimatum. Get help, or I'm leaving. He chose to get help. He started therapy and is attending support meetings. We're working on finances together. It's a tough road, but I'm hopeful. Our baby is due soon. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.